All right, it being 5 p.m., the Lafourche Parish Council meeting of February 8th, 2022 is hereby called to order. Ms. Marlene, can you please conduct roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Adams. Present. Mr. Grow. Here. Mr. Melvin. Chairman Wendell.
Here.
Mr. Araby. Mr. Otan. Here. Mrs. Chasson. Here. Mr. Lorraine. And President Chasson.
If everyone please rise, our invocation will be led by Mr. Lorraine, followed by the pledge of allegiance by Mr. Grow. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the council, we'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. If you'd like to address the council, please fill out a blue public wishing to address the council form located by the entrance door and turn it into the council clerk prior to the beginning of the public address section. Please silence any cellular or other communication devices to avoid interruptions. As we proceed through the meeting, public comment will be offered on each ordinance for ratification before council discussion and voting. As we move through resolutions, only the council will discuss prior to voting. With that being said, I'll open up with item number A, approval of minutes. Number 1, a motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones, to accept the minutes of the January 25th, 2022 regular session. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number B, Lafourche Parish Outstanding Citizen. Anything?
They have none.
All right, none. Item C, state or local legislative updates. Any state or local legislative updates? None. All righty. Item D, proclamation. Item number 2, Lafourche Parish President to present a proclamation to Gracie Lynn Pepper in recognition of her being named the 2021 Teenager of the Year. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I read the proclamation, I just want to talk about Gracie for a second. Me and her mom had a conversation yesterday, and we often hear that, when kids excel either in school or in life and in civic endeavors, that they should leave and they should go to other places, bigger cities, because they're too good to be here. I think Gracie is the perfect example, not even wanting to leave to go to college, right? I think she's headed off to Nichols, right? And that's what I think this is all about. It's about getting people like her to stay here. There are a lot of people who look up to her and can look up to her, and she's a great example for all of the youth in Lafourche. So whereas Lafourche Parish recognizes those in the community that excel, and whereas Gracie Pepper is currently a student at E.D. White Catholic High School, a member of the National Honor Society, a student ambassador, and a sideline sports photographer. And whereas Gracie Pepper served as Queen of La Fête de Vieux Temps, the Gainesville Manger Festival, and the 2020 Teen Queen of the Crackling Festival. And whereas Gracie Pepper is duly enrolled at Nichols State University, and after graduation plans to attend Nichols full-time, studying biology and pre-med. And whereas Gracie enjoys giving back to our veterans and volunteering in organizations where she can. Now, therefore, I, Archie Chasson, Parish President Lafourche, do hereby recognize on this 8th day of February 2022, Gracie Pepper as Teenager of the Year for 2021. Congratulations, Gracie.
Congratulations, Ms. Pepper. Item number 3, Parish President Archie Chasson to present a proclamation proclaiming the week of February 7th through 11th, 2022 as National School Counseling Week. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Whereas school counselors are employed in the public and private schools to help students reach their full potential, and whereas school counselors are actively committed to helping students explore their abilities, strengths, interests, and talents, these traits relate to their career awareness and development. And whereas school counselors help parents focus on the ways of future the educational, professional, and social growth of their children. And whereas school counselors work with teachers and other educators to help students explore their potential and set realistic goals for themselves. And whereas school counselors seek to identify and utilize community resources that can enhance, complement comprehensive school counseling programs and help students become productive members of society. And whereas comprehensive developmental school counseling programs are considered an integral part of the educational process that enables all students to achieve in school. Therefore, I urge Chesson to hereby proclaim February 7th through the 11th as National School Counseling Week, and I believe we have a couple of school counselors here with us.
Congratulations, ladies, and thank you to all of the school counselors. Moving on to item E, presentations and/or updates. Without letting him catch your breath, upon opening up the presentation and updates portion of the meeting, I'd like to relinquish a few minutes to President Chesson for a brief statement.
Wow. Fat people shouldn't be allowed to run up and down steps like that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick statement. You know, when we began our campaign for Parish President 2019, we vowed to set a new standard in parish politics. In the last 27 months, I'd like to think that we've done a pretty good job at that. We've brought Lafourche to new heights through a global pandemic and the worst hurricane to hit Louisiana. The events that transpired in the last few minutes of the January 25th Parish Council meeting were anything but a new standard in parish politics and more like the old days. So I'd like to formally apologize for my actions at the meeting and while trying to protect our administration. My hope is that we can move past this, and while we will probably still disagree on issues and processes, our main goal should be to move our parish forward together. I'd like to call on all the Councilman Arabi in particular, to do the same as we work for the betterment of Lafourche Parish and all the council districts. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for those words, sir. Item number 4 and item number 5 have both been pulled, which moves us to item 6, Energy Louisiana to present a report on the restoration efforts of electricity and street lighting post-Hurricane Ida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Parish President, for inviting us to
Excuse
speak.
me, can you just state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. My name is Al Galindo. My address is 3713 46th Street, Metairie, Louisiana.
Thank you.
Thank you again for inviting us to speak to the council and parish officials regarding the repairs and restorations of the municipal streetlights across Lafourche Parish. Again, my name is Al Galindo. I'm the region manager for Entryway, Louisiana. My area of responsibility covers the south, southeast, and western part of Louisiana, where I'm responsible for all the customer service managers who have the relationships with all of the parishes in those areas. As you can imagine, the last 2 years, 2020 and 2021, have been pretty impactful for Entryway, Louisiana, specifically a lot for our customer service managers. And in my 30-plus year career in the energy business, it by far has been the most impactful from a storm restoration response. I also have with me Stacy Fontenot, who is our new customer service manager that covers Lafourche Parish. She works out of our Labot office, and she will also be providing an update on some of the repairs that are being done in the parish. A little bit about the restoration recap. As the parish president mentioned, we had one of the worst storms in the state of Louisiana last year. Ida had historic damages. Over 30,000 utility poles were damaged across the whole state, including many that had streetlights. It's more than the number of poles that came down during Hurricane Ida were more than double of Hurricane Laura and more than the combined storms of Katrina, Ike, Delta, and Zeta. So you can imagine the impact that it had. 3% of Entryway, Louisiana's poles were damaged across the states, roughly about 30,000 poles. We own almost 891,000 poles across the state. The other entities across the state, like AT&T and other utilities, it's about 190,000. So it's a little bit over 1.16 million poles across the whole state. In Lafourche Parish, there's roughly about 39,000 utility poles, and 11,000 of, in addition to that, 11,000 poles are owned by AT&T and other entities. In reference to the storm, Lafourche Parish had over 4,300 poles that were damaged during Hurricane Ida, so it's about 11% of all the poles in Lafourche. As part of the storm restoration, part of our responsibility is to make sure that we can restore power safely and quickly right after the storm response, which is then followed by the permanent repairs. A lot of the repairs that are done by our contractors are really to get the lights back on as quickly as possible. We also survey and remove debris. I know we're probably still doing some of that 5 months after the storm, which includes discarded poles and wires and transformers, working with environmental guidelines to make sure that we discard all of the transformers safely. Now to transition to our street light situation, which I know all of you are probably getting a lot of questions from your constituents about the repairs for street lights. We began transitioning to street light repairs somewhere around the end of November. When the storm hit, it basically took September, October, and November to really get a lot of the work done across the parish. So we really weren't getting a chance to do all of the repairs during that initial time. We also realized that we needed to have a very clearly defined assessment of the damages for streetlights that were in not only Lafourche Parish, but in all of our impacted areas. So we brought on a third-party contractor around the latter part of November, and they completed the assessments across the area around the week before Christmas, around December 21st, because that's when I got the report from them. What we found for Lafourche Parish is basically the assessment found that 61% of the streetlights that were in the parish were either damaged or not found according to our maps that we have for all our streetlights. So across the parish, we bill Lafourche Parish almost 6,900 streetlights, and that does not include the municipalities, City of Tiboro, the City of Lockport, and Golden Meadow. They have their own municipal streetlight accounts, and we did assessments there too. But for the parish itself, it's about 6,900 lights. So where do we go from here? We realize that these lights need to be repaired, and that we will need additional resources. That has been a strong concern. When we have a storm that comes through, we usually have, I think we had about 27,000 workers that come in to get the lights back on. But once they're gone, the street lights aren't done right away because it's work that comes back to the Entryway crews. But knowing that we had a lot of damages and we did the assessment, we realized that we have to bring on additional contractors in order to be able to do the repair work because there's so many that are still not working or damaged or not existing. So we actually issued an RFP, and yesterday I was on a phone call with our supply chain and operations folks where we are signing an agreement to bring on 2 additional contracting companies to the region to begin doing nothing but streetlight repairs. So that is in the process of being done as we speak. We know that there have been challenges with resources, because of the pandemic, so that has been an issue, trying to get additional resources to be able to do the work. I know a lot of businesses are having the same challenges. Entergy is no different. We're still having those challenges, but we are working hard with our existing contractors and other contractors that we work with to provide us with those additional resources. So we have 2 additional companies that will be coming in to do work across our region, and it obviously includes Lafourche Parish. With that being said, the timeline based on the number of lights that these contracting crews can complete, we're looking at the completion sometime in the second quarter. I know initially we had mentioned at the end of the first quarter, but there just wasn't enough resources when we got the responses from the RFP to let us be able to do that. So we're looking at a completion of streetlights sometime in the second quarter. And one of the things that we also wanted to mention is that, the question about materials and supplies for the actual lights. When we started doing the assessments, we were able to gain some knowledge about what number of lights were out, poles, wires. We began ordering all of that equipment in anticipation of us having to do all these repairs. So checking with our supply chain folks, there is not an issue with any sort of supply for materials. It's the resources to actually put the materials on, the labor. So we are working to make sure that we continue to order and have the materials delivered that are needed for the streetlights. Like I said, the contracts are being executed. We'll be onboarding these contractors as soon as possible. In my mind, I'm hoping over the next week, so we can start getting boots on the ground. And then the other part that I wanted to also mention, because I think it's very important in proactively communicating to our stakeholders, where are these contractors going to be working in different parts of our service territory. So our pledge is to make sure that we provide the parish president with a list of the areas that these contractors will be working, so they have a good understanding of where the work's being done, and you can use that to address to your constituents. So, one of the things I wanted to mention as well is that in the way the streetlight rates are calculated, which is all part of our Public Service Commission rate schedules for public, for streetlights, we take into account that you're never going to have 100% of all the lights on. It's almost impossible to do that. So we build into the price that we put into the rates for streetlights about a 10% amount that we know are always going to be out. So it's a 90%, what we call 90% burn rate. So that is taken into account on the streetlights. The next topic that I wanted to address about the streetlights is what about the amount of payment that the parish has made for streetlights? Part of what we have done is we have initiated a credit for 100% of the lights that were billed for streetlights in September. We knew lights were on in the parish, so we have already initiated that with our accounting team to make sure that the parish streetlight accounts have that reflected. And then as we move into October and November and December, we will be issuing additional credits to the parish for the lights that were found during the assessment that were damaged or were not found. And that's something that we'll work with the parish president to provide the specific calculations. We have to go back to those bills, which I know the parish presumably paid those bills, and so we want to make sure that those credits for non-operating lights are provided back to the parish. I think that's pretty much what I have for the program. We have suppressed normal billing so that we're not issuing the bills on streetlights until we get the credits initiated, so that kind of helps keep the bills from continuing to show up. So I personally am working with our accounting and billing team to keep that straight, and so I'm the one that will be working with our customer service managers to ensure the details of how those credits are being calculated. I'm going to transition over to Stacy, and I know you may have questions, so we hope that we can get questions after we're completed. But like I mentioned, Stacy is our new customer service manager who works out of our Labot office here, which covers Lafourche Parish, and she has been working with some of the council members and customers on some of the specific areas that have been impacted by streetlight outages that you're getting calls on. So we wanted to make sure that you knew that we were working on those specific situations, and we wanted to share that with you. So I'm going to go ahead and let Stacy do that.
Ms. Stacy, we just need your name and address for the record also.
Good evening. My name is Stacy Fontenot. My address is 206 Margie Street, Tiboro, Louisiana. Foremost, I'd like to thank you all for your patience and understanding during the streetlight restoration process and for providing me with a list of high-volume requests for streetlight repairs. The streetlight mechanic provided me with the following update on several of the high-volume requests. Several lights have already been restored around 308 in St. Charles. The mechanic started working in South Lafourche area on Monday of this week. Several restorations made in the country club. However, the remaining of the issues are underground. Our Labot network is working to resolve the underground issues as we currently speak, and to make sure that the remaining lights are put back on into the country club. Councilman Melvin sent me a list of addresses in the country club that need to be repaired. I have a map of the country club, a plot of the country club with all of our lights. I'm highlighting the lights and the locations of the addresses that he sent me, and make sure that our network crew can ensure that these lights are tied into the issues with the underground, so they all come on together once the underground issues are resolved. We appreciate the council members for connecting us to the follow-up on streetlight repairs from your constituents. I noticed in an email that Councilman Melvin had sent to me that an energy agent from my team had advised the customers to contact their councilman or their elected officials in regards to trying to get repairs made. Please note that that is not the standard process. We have escalated this issue to our customer service team to let them know, do not let a customer contact an elected official, to contact our customer service manager. So again, thank you all for sending those requests to me. Please continue to send your requests for streetlight repairs to me, and I'll make sure that we get those addressed. So hopefully that'll take some of the burden off of you guys, but that is definitely an area that we've getting escalated within our customer service department. Energy just received materials to complete the restoration at the Tiboro Firemen's Training Facility on Parish Road. Those lights should be restored by the end of the week. Some repairs have already been made at the Fireman's Fairgrounds. However, the ground is too wet for all the lights that are out, so they're going to wait till the ground is dry to complete the restoration process. I'd also like to thank Councilman Otan for contacting me regarding the bear pose that DM Bass were going to pull last week. I did advise them to stand down, so they removed themselves from the premises, and they will not pull those poles. Those poles will remain to have the streetlights connected, because we don't want to expedite the situation of having to put new posts down. So thank you again for contacting me. I think it was great timing that we were able to catch them while they were there. And please continue to reach out to me. I'm here to serve you. So feel free to reach out to me at any time. I know Archie contacts me often, but you have my email address, my phone number. I do have a card here for some of you who might want my card, but I'm here to serve you, and I'm new to Energy, and I'm looking forward to working with you all. Some of you I may know already, so.
Mr. Otan.
Yeah, thank you, Stacy, and thank you for the quick return call. Yeah, we're inundated. We kind of live in our community, so we know, brand new poles that were put up for Zeta, but new light fixtures, when you see a group pull up to pull them out, and, hey, why y'all doing that? Well, there's no wires to it. It's because that's for street lights. They're waiting on the wiring. So thank you for quickly addressing that. There was a comment made that, the 90%, 10% of September, and then subsequent, and it was specifically directed to government. I just want to follow up that that's also going to be for those private individuals who have street lights as well as businesses. It's kind of the same format.
Yeah, I think, Councilman, what you're referring to are the private area lights that an individual can put on their bill. And I think Councilman Lorraine mentioned something, or I'm sorry, Araby mentioned something about that. Yes, I mean, if the light is not working, it's an unmetered service, so it just keeps showing up on your bill. So if you can let us know where those situations are, those customers should also receive a credit for the months that the lights have not been working.
Okay, so just to make it public, so an individual and/or a company must notify y'all. Some of the lights I'm referring to here where there's no wires, like in some of the facilities, businesses, there's no wiring even going to the facility, but they still need to let you know.
Yes.
Let Energy know. Okay.
Yes, yeah, we've done some assessments, but, the assessments that we did in November and December were really specifically for the street lights that illuminate the roadways. The ones that you're describing, Councilman, are the private area lights, but we do need to know if there is an issue with those lights, so we can provide the appropriate credit to the customer. Because it's unmetered service, and if you're not getting the benefit of the illumination from those lights, then we need to provide that credit back to the customer, whether it's a business or a home.
Great, thank you for that information. Last thing you mentioned, Bass, and so that brings into mind the contractors, and there's been massive amounts of damage done to private roads and private property. Bass, the specific incident, they moved in, we were on 3 days of rain, which we hadn't had in a while. They went way off the right-of-ways, got stuck. They pulled each other out. They put a little bit of sand down, but the whole properties, and it's not, there's just one area. And I know we've got hundreds of thousands of dollars to road damage on private roads, et cetera. Deanna was working on it, so I'm hoping that continues. And at some point, we start making people whole and repairing property and roads that were damaged by all these different contractors, and continue to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, and we'll follow up with Deanna as well, but if you have any other constituents that have any property damage, just feel free to reach out to me, and then we can create what's called a claims request. And then they go out there and they send someone to make the repairs.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments, concerns? Mr. Lorraine.
You know I'm gonna have to say something. First of all, everybody's just frustrated. And the frustration is getting worse. I heard you said something about you got a crew going to South Lafourche. A crew went to South Lafourche, started Monday.
They started Monday.
And, I got on Archie many a times, but it's not really his fault, but everybody, like I said, everybody's frustrated. Look, I tell it like it is. I ain't scared. And I know that y'all probably got a tough job, but what I see here, there's a lot of parishes that were hit. So I talked to some of the contractors, and what happens, it comes to the politics. Who's got the most political stroke is where a lot of these contractors are going to go, and you know that better than me. And if it would be just Lafourche and Terrebonne, we'd probably have everything back in order. But you got, like I said, 5 or 6 other parishes involved with this. And, I was trying to get some covers for lights for Hurricane Zelda. I got a few. I was trying to catch up, but after Ida hit, I can't even find the lights. That's how bad it is. And people that know exactly where they live, if you don't have that street light on that highway, they pass up their house. A lot of people do that. I mean, we just in the dark. And it seems like the worst area that gets the bulk of this, we get the service toward the end. It's not just happening now, it happens all the time, you know? And I know you're doing the best you can. And most of the people that I was familiar with when I talked to you people, that most of them are retiring. So don't forget to give me your card, and I'll take your card too.
Okay.
You ain't getting away with it, but.
No, absolutely, that's why we're here.
The only question I have, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, is if somebody wants to pay for a light, how come they can get theirs pretty quick if they pay for it versus parish? I know there's a difference in the price. If it's a parish light, it's a lot cheaper than somebody putting a night light. But most of them, they call in for a night light, they're there very quick to put it up. But not everybody can afford to pay for a light.
Right, I mean, I
So
don't.
I'm not putting, I just wanted to throw that out there just to keep you honest, you know?
Sure,
Okay?
all right.
I'm gonna give you a little slack. I'm gonna cut it right there. But give me your cards before you leave.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Hey, thank you, man.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Mr. Melvin?
Yes, I just wanted to echo Mr. Nooney's, Orman's comments, but real quick, I'm just going to say this to the public. What I think helped me a little bit was I have neighborhoods who have Facebook pages, and I'm on those Facebook pages, so believe me, if they're not calling, they tag me on Facebook. So what I did was I went and made a general announcement about lights on these Facebook accounts, and also that enabled them to email me their addresses or anything they were having going on, and it just expedited the process. It's just all about communication, and unfortunately, sometimes too fast is not really good because everything stacks up. It's just that that's what helped me. I'm just using technology, and sometimes I don't know all the answers, but I'm using what I know how to use, so thank you. And thank you all, Stacy and Sarah, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And just a reminder as well, it helps our guys too, if you have streetlights out.
Ms. Stacy, excuse me.
Oh,
You have to speak in the
Just
microphone.
a reminder, if you have constituents or anyone that has streetlights out, to either put a ribbon or a red tape. I know, for instance, I have the map of the country club, so that's able to assist me to help our guys. But our guys go out during the day, so if they don't actually, if the locations, like some constituents or customers can actually put out a streetlight repair on their own online, but if they don't put direct directions, then our streetlight mechanics are riding around and they don't see a pole that's flagged. It's hard for them to know exactly which pole they're talking about, especially if the streetlight is missing. So just kind of a reminder to make sure that it's either red tape, a flag, anything you can put on the pole is helpful to our mechanics.
Anyone else? Mr. President?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Al, we may have to talk because we actually got a disconnect notice today about all of our streetlights because we hadn't paid our bill. So
Archie, I'll follow
we may
that.
want to have that conversation tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Mr. Araby?
Yeah, I'm like every other councilman up here, all getting all kind of calls about streetlights, and I just try to explain to the people as best I could. But I do have, you mentioned something about the country club and Tiboro underground. I do have a section here behind the hospital that has underground utilities and everything else, and we do have an issue over there. You may know about it already because I passed it to our light coordinator for the parish, and he knows all about it. But I just want to kind of remind you about it, but it's off of Sycamore Street in Raceland. It's an electrical issue, I think our lights would work if the electrical part was taken care of, so you might want to just make a note for it.
Yeah,
All right, thank you all.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Araby. Thank you, guys, for the update. And if you could leave a set of cards for me with Mr. Lorraine when you drop his,
Sure.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you, ma'am. All righty, moving on to item number 7. Ms. Bessie McGee with the Lafourche Parish Animal Shelter Board to present an annual report. Ms. Bessie, please remember to state your name and address for the record, please.
Betsy McGee, 108 Cedar Tree Drive, Tiboro. Ms. Carlene, would you like the? And I didn't get here early enough for Robbie to give me the controller for the PowerPoint. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to make a presentation to you about the animal shelter, and hopefully the PowerPoint will go through. There we go. And that cute picture is from one of our food distributions that we did. It's been growing and adapting to 2021 challenges, a double hit of COVID's restrictions and the unprecedented aftermath of Ida impacted not only all of us in Lafourche Parish and the government, but also our parish residents' pets. And the animal shelter staff worked through it, not only to reunite pets with their owners, but also to provide food, shelter, free inoculations, microchips, and new homes for a record number of dogs and cats, and to keep the community safe from dangerous animals. The La Paz kept in place our pet food pantry that was begun in the spring of 2020, where thousands of pounds of food were distributed to residents in need. Now, this is a good page. Our statistics for 2021, you can see there, 1,633 dogs and cats were taken in, 702 adoptions, and 118 were reunited with their owners, transferred to partner agencies. That's animal shelters and other agencies around the country, 464. A number of those animals were flown out. Community cats, trapped, neutered, and returned, the TNR program, 185 for this past year, and brings the total for our community cats to approximately 900. That program is funded completely by donations from Lafourche Animal Society Incorporated, Lassie, which is a 501c3 arm that funds special projects like this for our shelter, so that we're not tapping into the shelter budget. The low-cost spay and neuter, Lafourche Parish has got a very generous and a very, very popular low-cost spay-neuter program. And we had appointments made for 1,564 dogs and cats this past year. Now, a number of our veterinary offices were hit very hard by Ida, and several of them were out of business or shut down for several months. So it put these appointments, gave a backlog of them, but they're catching up. The free vaccinations were given out, 400 of those were given out in some of our drive-through distributions for food and microchips that we had in central Lafourche after Ida. 660 microchips have been were implanted primarily through the windows of the cars, on the drive-throughs. The microchips are really important for getting pets back with owners, and to have that available free of charge for our residents is wonderful. Here's our staff. There's an example of a dog getting a microchip and a bedload of food that was distributed at one of our drive-throughs. Some of the agencies and charities that Lafourche Parish Animal Shelter has paired with, they've been tremendous. The Greater Good Charities, the ASPCA, PetSmart, Petco, Pciole, Best Friends Society, local businesses, and individuals offered pet food, supplies, and transports of pets to partner shelters. The LASSI, the Lafourche Parish Animal Society, provided transport-related costs for these dogs and cats to be flown out. TNR, spay, neuter, and funding for pet food. These relationships developed by shelter management before Ida hit. These relationships were developed by shelter management, Hillary Detillier, and her staff before Ida hit. Now, there's a picture of some of the pictures of our community outreach. Those animals get on planes, private planes, funded by the Greater Good Charities, usually very early flights in the morning, so the animal shelter employees are transporting the dogs and cats to Lafayette Airport, the Hammond Airport, and usually our TNR, the cages that are covered up there will trap up to 30 cats and have them delivered to LSU Vet School or various local veterinary offices for the TNR, for the spay-neuter and ear tipping of those animals, and then return to their communities. The TNR program nationwide, the Community Cat Program, is the only program that is working nationwide to help with this Community Cat Program that is so prevalent throughout our country. LASSI has funded, like I said, 900 TNRs, and primarily in the central Lafourche area. We know that this region is overrun with community cats. Of course, there's always someone feeding them. But what you get back is a cat that is not reproducing, is a healthier animal, and will live out its life. There's outside the shelter walls, caring for lost and stray pets in the shelter is only one of La Paz's responsibilities. Working with the community to create long-term solutions for reoccurring animal issues, and working with individuals to help solve person-pet-related issues is just as important. Hillary and her staff have worked really diligently for several years now to develop a personal answer to individuals' problems and to try to keep these pets with their owners. Looking forward to 2022, what are we looking forward to? Well, grants from Petco Love, PetSmart Charities, and the ASPCA will provide funding for hurricane prep enhancement, new kennel space for owned pet housing, continued supply of pet food to distributions, wire crates, microchips, a generator for the new shelter building expansion, bunk supplies for future housing of disaster workers in that new shelter building expansion, perimeter fencing for the new building. Duplantis Design Group has finalized plans for the construction of a new shelter building to be constructed in 2022. The current building has long past its usefulness. The lack of space, proper ventilation, structural integrity, and drainage are some of the issues with the current facility. There's a cute little picture. In the U.S., millions of companion animals enter shelters every year. It's reassuring to know that our shelter goes above and beyond to promote local adoptions, community engagement, and responsible pet ownership in Lafourche Parish as this community continues to recover and grow. I think you all should have received the annual report that I prepared and was sent out recently. I hope you had the opportunity to read through it, and we're very proud of our shelter manager, Hillary, who is also 9 months pregnant, or she would be here due any day now, and her staff. Of course, her staff, all of them live in the central Lafourche district area, and they had either serious damage or lost their homes. They all have small children and had to work around the COVID issues that we've all dealt with this past couple of years. But they show up for work, and their dedication is phenomenal. Are there any questions?
Mr. Adams.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Hey,
So with the new shelter building coming, I've seen other shelters where they let people go in on certain days and get to pet and play with the animals. Are we looking at maybe doing that?
well, one of the new, you want to do that?
Yeah.
Well, you give us a call. Yeah, we'll make that happen. I can't tell you. You know, Terrebonne's got a $4 million facility, and we'd be happy to have you. And they've got like 13 employees. One of the problems that we've got with that happening for people coming and wanting to come through and look through the kennels, we've got beautiful new kennels that were provided with grants that the animals are in, but it gets the animals all worked up. And so what Hillary has started the last couple of years is that if you want to come look for a pet, tell us what you're looking for, and you make an appointment to come in. And they'll pull the animals out of the kennel, let you have a meet and greet there in the office with them. But instead of a parade of people going through and getting these animals all worked up, and anyway, it's better for the animals and it's better for the staff. But yes,
Yeah, I have
and
two
we
already.
do
I don't want
have-
any more, but
we-
I'll go pet some more.
We do have Girl Scout troops and volunteer groups that come and help out at the shelter, and we are very much looking forward to expanding that with our new facility. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
And
Mr.
if you need a
Jones.
dog or a cat, man, we've got those cats. Yeah, all spay neutered, vaccinated, ready to go.
Yeah, Ms. McGee,
Yeah,
one
hey.
question.
Yes.
Does the city of Tiboro, do they still partnership with y'all for the spade and neuter program?
Absolutely, they
All right.
do. That's right, yes.
So you still need to go to the animal shelter to get the application for the grant?
You do,
All
you
right.
do. But for Central and South Lafourche, we are starting this month to have, I think it's the second Tuesday of the month, for a sign up for our low-cost spay-neuter program. And so that you don't have to make that drive up to Thibodaux to do it.
Okay. Does
Yeah.
the city of Tiboro, they just do the incorporated areas of Tiboro or the parish on the
If
grant?
you're in the city of Thibodaux, I think you could still piggyback. They're $50, they give a $50 reduction in fee. And you can piggyback that onto the Lafourche Parish
All right,
for dogs.
all right, thank
Yeah,
you.
otherwise we'd be giving money back for cats, but, yeah.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Jones. Mr. Groh.
I just wanted to thank you, Ms. Betsy. I mean, I know you're very active on the board. I'm sure the pays real well.
It
real
does,
good. Yeah,
I'm
it pays
telling
good.
you, yeah.
But, and also Hillary, we have a really good staff, and we do it with, you mentioned Terrebonne, we do it with
Mm-hmm.
a lot less funds and facilities. And a few years back, we made some changes to where we're doing a lot of things in-house. Well, they're doing a lot of things in-house. They were outsourcing, having to pay. So they do a phenomenal job, and anybody looking for a pet, definitely reach out, for sure.
I'd like to say that we've gotten so many animals out. Our pets are really popular in the state of Wisconsin, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and those dogs are, having to get used to some colder weather than what we have. But, yeah, thank you, Michael.
Ms. Betsy, I just want to thank you for your service that you and your board do for the animal shelter, and thank you very much for coming and
Well, we
providing the report.
thank you for your support. We really do.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, item number
Okay.
F, legal advisory report. We have none. Item G, engineers and architects reports. Just please remember to state your name and address for the record.
Sure. All right, good evening. Laura Barnes with GIS Engineering, 197 Elysian Drive in Homa. So I've got a couple of project updates for projects that you guys have going on that I wanted to share with you. So under construction right now, we've just got one Cyprian pump station. The phase 1 is complete. Phase 2, that was the ordering of the new pumps, engines, and gear heads, and those still have an estimated ship date of mid-June, so that work should probably be taking place in late June or July. All right, so projects in design, the first one, Butch Hill Pump Station. We're currently in the preliminary design phase. The geotech field work took place at the beginning of January, and we are expecting their preliminary data back toward the end of next week. Internally, we have started with the preliminary design phase. We started that early last month. We've got the structural modeling underway for the station superstructure and the building, and the pump station hydraulic preliminary design is currently complete, and we're just continuing coordinating with North Lafourche through this process. The next is emergency backup pumps. We finalized the bidding package for the Louisiana Watershed Initiative. That was the emergency backup pump grant. The grant awarded you $1,890,000, which will allow the procurement of 9 portable hydraulic pumps and their discharge pipe. So the Office of Community Development, which is OCD, reviewed and approved the bidding package, and advertisement for procuring those bids is expected to be in March. Hurricane Ida Pump Station Rehabilitations. So we are currently in the assessment phase for 6 pump stations, the Edgar Guidry, Magnolia, Natural Gas, Old Valentine, Ravenswood, and Company Canal. The site inspections will begin actually tomorrow. They were going to start yesterday, but weather kind of delayed that, and then should continue through the end of next week. We began field surveys of the pump stations earlier this month, and expecting to complete that by the end or the beginning of March. The next is a bridge inspection project, Sanchez Road over Grand Bayou. So the inspection phase is complete. Preliminary design and report was complete in January. Site visit for the final check also complete in January. So beginning next week, we should be in the final plans phase. We are waiting on some additional information, and then we'll address any final comments and provide sealed plans and specs. And then we will be submitting a proposal for construction services. Valentine Pontoon Bridge Rehab, we're in preliminary design there as well. Bridge inspections complete, survey geotech, and we have started the permitting process. We did meet with administration early last week to kind of continue to nail down some of the design criteria, and as I mentioned, started applying for the permits. Grand Bayou Freshwater Reintroduction, the modeling phase is complete. Again, we met on that early last week, so we are buttoning up the final deliverable so that we can turn that in this week, and then we will proceed with the phase 3, which is preliminary design, and that currently is going to be of a 1,200 CFS pump station. I believe this is the last one, rehabilitation of Eunice Alamo Pump Station. Preliminary design on this is complete, and we are progressing into the final design phase.
Mr. Miller.
How you doing? I wanted to know, I know that the Cyprian pump station, I'm hard hearing in my left ear, and I was kind of watching, so I apologize, but we've had some history with the Cyprian pump station. I know it's new and it's going on. It's just, it's like deja vu. I'm waiting for this completion again, because I'd been on it when it ran the first time, and it's, watching this process, I'm hoping, it's like a bad case of fleas. You know, you're just hoping it gets better, right? And that whatever dates y'all telling us is going to happen, is going to happen. But you mentioned July, and it kind of tickled my ear. I know we're supposed to be functional maybe into April, May, but did that change too? I'm just checking. I just want to make sure on when we're going to turn the switches on.
Yeah, so we had, I caught when she said July too, so we had originally said that the pumps and engine packages would be complete sometime in May, and we'd be installing them sometime late May, early June, so that would be ready for the height of hurricane season. Okay. So unless something's going on with the pump manufacturer, yeah. Go ahead, Dylan.
Update from last time.
So they actually had a strike at the John Deere plant, and it delayed us 4 weeks. So
Okay.
to answer that question, everything's waiting on the engines. As soon as we get them from Flint Power, they'll be operational.
Well, I mean, I get it, and at least that wasn't in our control, so that's
Right.
good, because again, we're trying to push, because I mean, this thing has been ongoing for years, and I don't know, $8 million, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Ms. Dotan.
I just want to thank you for the regular updates on some of the projects via email, because oftentimes we get lost on where our projects are at. We don't get enough updates. So thank you for continuing to send the updates via email.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Barnes.
All right, thank you.
Good evening, Jack Plazos with T. Baker Smith. That's 1100 South Acadia Road in Tiboro. I'm going to give you some updates on our construction project in the Cutoff Galliano area, East Side Drainage Improvements Phase 1. We've seen this slide before. It's basically budgetary information. It's a $1.8 million project. We are about 40% complete at this point, and that puts us maybe on or slightly ahead of schedule. Right now, we're about 90% complete on the clearing and grubbing operation, and we began the drainage excavation work in December. So I'll move on to a few slide photographs. This is the beginning of the northern beginning point of the 20 Arpent Canal near East 44th Street. This was last Friday. We had rains, and I could see that the water flowing down 44th was really moving out well, so that was a good indicator on the project. A little further down the 20 Arpent near East 51st, here you can see that the canal has been swept out and culverts have been replaced. A couple more pictures in that general area, East 54th and East 59th, showing the ditches recently swept out and the drainage right-of-way cleared and grubbed along the 20 Arpent Canal. This is the point where the Dory Lateral Canal, which heads back towards the 40 Arpent Canal, begins. So this is the Dory Lateral. That's nearly complete as far as the sweeping and cleaning out of that ditch. This was a few days earlier on the same canal behind East 59th Street, the Dory Lateral. So that's getting closer to the 40 Arpent at the rear of the drainage outfall. And advance. And this is, I think, the last slide. Also, this is actually at the end of the Dory Lateral. So this is at the end of January, 40 Arpent Canal, and also at the 20 Arpent Canal behind East 54th Street. So we're moving along, and the contract is on schedule. That would be my report. If there's any questions, I could entertain.
Anyone want anything for Mr. Jack? All righty, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any more engineers, architects? Moving right along. Item H, public wishing to address the council, public hearings, agenda items, etc. Ms. Carlene.
Miss Ella Leday, if you'd come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, Miss Leday, and please remember you have 3 minutes.
My name is Ella Leday. I live at 129 Louise Lane, Houma, which is Bayou Blue. But I came here today to bring up our nuisance abatement forms that many people on
Ms.
our
Ella,
street.
can you pull that down just a little bit? Thank you.
Many people on our street have, we always filling out these forms, but these people here from Louise Lane, this lady's from Louise Lane, but I'm here because of that little girl right there. Because I live up in the front, my grandkids don't live down my street, but the steel recycling collection down our street is out of the box. We live down a substandard street. It's only 18 feet wide. They trash flows into the street. It eliminated the school board from, they terminated the buses going down our street because of the trash that is on the street. I'm not talking about Ida trash. You know, I'm talking about these people who are holding businesses, steel recycling collectors, that is, I'm sure, against the law. And the school board stopped picking up the children down the street because of that problem. The parish owns a turnaround at the end of the street, and a gentleman that lives at the end is constantly putting trash and junk there. So the bus says, well, we can't turn around, so we can't come down the street. There's about 12 young children like her that walk down the street, has to catch the bus on Bayou, on our highway, on the highway. They got to wait on the highway for the school bus to stop. They can't come down the street because the parish, the school board says we terminated. I want to thank so much Jim Wendell, because I feel like he's our only ear that we have. I remember you, Mr. Chasson, behind Miss Charlotte at one time. I've came here before. We've been represented by James Bourgeois and John Arnold. I ain't gonna say no more. You know, and I just thank God for Mr. Jim. I feel like we have an ear that maybe something could be done on our street. We tried filling out forms to get traffic, what do you call it, traffic speed bumps. We did that many times, you know. I'll go to Cutoff, and there's one on just about every street, but for some reason, Louise Lane can't get them. You know, so I kind of feel like a redheaded stepchild. I have pictures. I'm going to give them to my councilman. I want to thank you so much, you know, for the ear. I thank you for trying to go to, you know, our DA's office to make laws. And I just pray and hope that all of these nuisance abatement forms would come to fruition and get taken care of. That little girl right there and all her friends, her sisters, stop walking down the street to the highway. And these three, all their names, these are the people that fill out the abatement form. It's just not me. I don't want to complain by myself. It's the whole street. And I thank y'all, and you're doing an awesome job, dude.
Ms. Ella, thank you. The parish president has his light on, so I think he has some updates.
And Ms. Ella, we've made some really good progress as of late with some of the forms. So what would happen is you guys would fill out the form. Traditionally, what would happen? You guys would fill out the form. We would open up a nuisance file, which by itself takes somewhere between 5 and 6 months. By the time we notice everybody, we go through the cycles. We would go clean the property in some cases, spending money we never recoup, and then they would trash the property all over again.
They have done that. I know they have done that.
So we've made some pretty good progress lately with Captain Champagne with the sheriff's office, actually assigning a deputy to these things, because we get to the end of what we can do.
Right.
And we don't have the criminal powers, right? So I'm not like,
Well, that's
Deputy Gilliard, I can't go write a ticket.
We'll call up somebody, you know, they'll park a car on the street, the bus has to go around, they get a flat tire, the last bus, they got a flat tire. They said, we're not coming down the street no more.
So we made some good progress with the sheriff's office actually beginning to write those summonses. So we actually have 2 cases going to court right now. One is in Councilman Adams' district, and the other one is, I'm trying to remember whose district, it is in Terry's district, where we actually wrote the summonses. They have an appearance date in court. It's in Gaines. That's right, Terry. Where they're actually going to court. So we're going to finally have a judge say, you either need to clean it up for good, or the parish can seize your property. There's got to be something passed, just us cleaning it up time and time and time again.
Yes.
So we're trying to work through that, and the council's been really helpful to helping us do that.
And I want to thank y'all very much, and I want y'all to continue to give this man the tools that he needs to help take care of our redheaded child, District 5.
Thank you, Ms. Ella. Thank you guys for coming out. Anything else, Ms. Corley? That's all. All righty. Item I, public hearing and ordinances for eradication. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Chasson to open the public hearing. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 8, an ordinance providing for 2022 supplemental appropriation 22-001 within the 2022 operations and maintenance budget, increasing the budget for the Consolidated Appropriations Act and the American Rescue Plan funding in the amount of $342,357, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Any public discussion? Public twice. Third call, public. Any council discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 9, ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Marlene and Labot Fabricator and Reginald John Labot and Lafourche Parish Government in the Rayson area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents. Motion by Mr. Araby, second by Mr. Otan. Any public discussion? Public twice. Third call, public. Any council discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. I have a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Chasson, to close public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 8 nays. Item J, 0 nays, I'm sorry. Proposed ordinances. Item J, Ms. Chasson.
Number 10, proposed ordinance establishing a no parking on the turnaround at the rear of Louise Lane, Houma, Louisiana, Ward 11, District 5, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, installing the necessary no parking signs and providing penalties for the violations thereof. Mr. Jim Wendell. Proposed ordinance establishing a three-way stop at the intersection of Waverly Road and Southern Circle, Tiboro, Louisiana, Ward 1, District 1, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, installing the necessary three-way stop signs and providing penalties for the violations thereof. Mr. Jerry Jones. Number 12, proposed ordinance requesting that a traffic calming device and appropriate signage be installed pending appropriate funding is available on Waverly Road, Tiboro, Louisiana, Ward 1, District 1, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana. Mr. Jerry Jones. Number 13, proposed ordinance accepting the subdivision known as Darwin Estate Subdivision Phase 2 into the parish system. A. Melvin for administration. Number 14, proposed ordinance accepting the subdivision known as the Villas at Layton Plantation, Addendum Number 1, into the parish system. Mr. Jerry Jones for administration. Number 15, proposed ordinance providing for a 2022 supplemental appropriation 22-002 within the 2022 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget, increasing capital outlay projects, Marydale Sewage 19030 and Landry Lane Bridge 20033, and creating a new project entitled Gazo Canal Clearing and Grubbing 22003, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Mr. Jerry Jones for administration.
Thank you, Ms. Chasson. Moving on to item K, resolutions. Item 16, resolution approving an agreement between the Louisiana Workforce Commission, Office of Workforce Development, and Lafourche Parish Government, with the physical agent being LAT Workforce Development Board Incorporated, to provide services to youth, adult, and dislocated workers in the region affected by Hurricane Ida, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 17, resolution approving change order number 2 from the 4A Contracting Group, LLC, for the project titled Lockport Branch Library Entryway Project, increasing the contract price by $14,213.68 and adding 39 additional days to the contract time, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any and all relative documents. Motion by Mr. Adams, second by Ms. Chasson. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 18, resolution approving an agreement between the Office of Community Development, Division of Administration, and the Lafourche Parish Government for the Lafourche Parish Emergency Backup Pumps for Lafourche Parish Pump Stations, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents. Motion by Mr. Otan, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 19, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Pciole and Associates Incorporated for engineering services as the project titled Pump Station Rehabilitation Project, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents. Motion by Ms. Chasson, and we do have an amendment from the floor on this item. So the amendment from the floor includes the verbiage of the federal provisions for contracts as part of FEMA requirements. That's added to all 6 of them that we have tonight. Does anybody need that read, Mr. President?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for the 5 amendments from the floor, gentlemen. We went over these contracts with the grant consultant, HGA, who we hired to help us work through the FEMA process, and they recommended that we include all of that federal contract language in there for the reimbursement of all the projects once we get to that point.
Okay, can I get a motion from the floor for the amendment by Mr. Araby, second by Mr. Melvin? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. I have a second from Mr. Adams on Ms. Chasson's original motion for item number 19 as amended. Any discussion? All in favor? Whoop, I'm sorry, Mr. Grubb.
These 9 pumps, we have them earmarked for different spots already when they come? Like you got, they're gonna be used for, as backup? We know where they're
You wanna tell them
going?
where they're going? Dylan will tell you where they're going.
So there's,
I just need one, in Waverly.
so there's 9 predetermined locations that they have to be at. We can use them anywhere across the parish, but they have to stage at those 9 predetermined locations.
So like we do now with the portable pumps, we could try to put them in place unless something breaks in Jack Bay or something. You gotta-
Correct, but they won't be stored at a field office. They're going to be stored at an actual facility where they can pump water, and they'll be moved at the time of need. We'll have to keep a log sheet on them and all of that stuff, but part of the grant, and the reason why we got the grant, is because they are pre-staged throughout the parish.
They're gonna be staged and working, not
Yes.
staged in a warehouse waiting
Correct.
for something to break. All right, good.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item number 19 as amended. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 20, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Pciole and Associates Incorporated for engineering services for project title repairs to the Leeville boat launch, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents. Motion by Mr. Lorraine. We do have an amendment from the floor on this as well. Can I get a, by Mr. Oten, second by Mr. Araby for the amendment from the floor. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Now we go back to item 20 as amended. Original motion by Mr. Lorraine, second by Ms. Chasson. Any discussion on item 20 as amended? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 21, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Duplantis Design Group, PC, for engineering services for the project titled Emergency Pump Station Rehabilitation Repair Project, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents. Original motion by Mr. Adams. We also have a motion from the floor. I have a motion from Ms. Chasson, second by Mr. Jones for the amendment. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Back to the original, Mr. Adams on item 21 with the original motion as amended. Second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion on that one? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 22, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Flores Positary, LLC, for engineering services for the project titled Hurricane Ida Repair Renovations Project, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents. Motion by Mr. Adams. We do have an amendment from the floor on this one as well. Motion by Mr. Oten, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion on the amendment? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Back to item 22, resolution. Original motion by Mr. Adams, second by Ms. Chasson. Any discussion on the resolution as amended? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 23, resolution approving an agreement and task order number 1 between the Lafourche Parish Government and All South Consulting Engineers, LLC, for engineering services for the project titled Home Place Pump Station, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and task order and any and all relative documents. Original motion by Mr. Adams. We have an amendment from the floor on this one as well. Motion by Ms. Chasson, second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion on the amendment? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Back to item 23, the resolution as amended. Have a second by Mr. Jones or Mr. Adams' original motion. Any discussion on 23 as amended? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays.
We're going to pull item number 24, Mr. Chairman.
Item 24 is pulled. There was no amendment from the floor on it. That was an easy one. Item 25, resolution approving application revision number 5, requesting non-federal share waiver in the amount of $350,000 for the 2021 Head Start Grant Program and authorizing the parish president and council chairman to sign, execute, and administer said application revision in any and all relative documents. Motion by Ms. Chasson, second by Mr. Oten. Any discussion? Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a big number. That's why I kind of want to explain this one so when the public sees it. Every year, we have a non-federal share match in Head Start, which is typically made up by parent activities, volunteer activities, stuff like that. It's not actually real money. Because of the ongoing COVID situation and the Head Start, the national Head Start rules governing who can come into a Head Start facility, as far as volunteers and parents, we haven't been able to do a lot of those activities. So we did this last year. If you guys remember, we applied for that waiver and got it. I'm pretty sure we're going to get it this year again because their policies say we can't allow people on our Head Start sites. So with that said, we should, this is just a part of the package that we have to send to them that says you guys approve it.
Thank you, sir. Item 25, with no further discussion, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 26, resolution approving a memorandum of agreement between the Louisiana Department of Health, Office of Public Health, Bureau of Community Preparedness, and Lafourche Parish Government for a closed point of dispensing site during an emergency and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents. Original motion by Mr. Oten, second by Mr. Melvin. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 27, resolution approving an agreement and 3 task orders between Lafourche Parish Government and High Tide Consultants, LLC for engineering services for the drainage and pump station projects and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and task orders and any and all relative documents. Original motion by Mr. Adams. We do have an amendment on the floor. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Ms. Chasson. Any discussion on the amendment from the floor? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. On item 27, resolution by motion by Mr. Adams as amended, second by Mr. Oten. Any discussion on 27 as amended? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 28, resolution approving an agreement with Environmental Systems Research Institute Incorporated, ERSI, for term license software for Geographic Information Systems, GIS, technology, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents by Ms. Chasson, second by Mr. Oten. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 29, resolution approving amendment number 4 to the agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and Environmental Safety and Health Consulting Services Incorporated, ES&H, to increase the contract price due to fluctuations in the Consumer Price Index and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any and all relative documents. Motion by Mr. Oten, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item number 30, Resolution approving an agreement between the Louisiana Housing Corporation and Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action for the Low Income Household Water Assistance Program, LIHWAP, grant period 1/1/2022 through 9/30/2023, fiscal year 2022-2023, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relative documents. Motion by Ms. Chasson, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes, 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item L, Parish President, Department Heads, and our Managers' Reports and Updates. Item 31, Community Action Executive Director Amanda Matisse to present a report.
Hi guys, Amanda Matisse, 4876 Highway 1, Matthews, Louisiana, 70345. Is that right? I live here. I live here. So I'm Amanda Matisse. I've been here about 7 months now, so I broke up my annual report, pre-Amanda and post-Amanda. So you're gonna see stuff from January to June and then from July to December. I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. All right, so Community Services offers rental and mortgage assistance, emergency lodging, food vouchers, medication assistance, summer youth adult employment programs, commodity distribution, tuition and books, school and work uniforms, client education, LAHEAP, which is your electricity and gas bills, and referrals to other resources. So we do offer a variety of things. We are not just electricity like most people think, or we're not just rent. We definitely do more than just that. So Community Services Block Grant, January 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2021, the total amount spent in CSBG was $32,773.18. July 1st to December 31st, 2021, the total amount spent in the community was $86,307.96. LAHEAP report, January 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2021, $113,620.27 was spent. July 1st to December 31st, we have spent $311,131.72. Today, I submitted an invoice for $53,052 for last week, 4 days of last week. We have over $890,000 in LAHEAP, money that has to be spent by June 30th. So please send everybody that needs assistance with their electricity and gas bills to us, because we have the money, it's there, and Energy sent a mass out of disconnects this week. So if you have anybody that has a disconnect or doesn't have a disconnect, Archie, you can come see me. I may be able to help. Okay, so I did break it down by location. I asked our system provider to add this feature to the program so we can see by location how much money is being spent in your district. So kind of a little hard to see on the left side. So cooling by location is, and this is July 1st to December 31st. Cooling by location, $202,400, and heating by location, we just had those funds allocated, so that's why the numbers are low, because we just got the 2022. That started November 15th. And then your crisis amount by location, and your American Rescue Plan by location. So as you can see, this means that our department's production has increased significantly. The numbers don't lie, the data don't lie. Our team is working very hard. We also do commodity distribution. So the total amount of food distributed from January 1st to June 30th was 130,233 pounds of food, and that's what the total equals. And then July to December was 99,974 because I tapped into other resources at During this time, I tapped into World Central Kitchen, which provided over 5,000 meals that we distributed over during Hurricane Ida, and the We Made organization. He's a former NFL player who also stepped up, and he provided about 2,000 meals, and Salvation Army applied about 15,000 meals. And that's it. Anybody have any questions?
Anybody with any questions? Mr. Grill?
Yeah, real quick, thank you, Amanda, for coming.
Yes, sir.
You also, I mean, it looks like a lot of people in Tiboro are taking advantage of it, which is good. I don't know if they're in my district or not. It's not broken out by that. But how much money y'all spending on outreach and marketing to make sure, like you mentioned today about, you know, the letters from Energy going out. I mean, that's a very important thing. But by the time this airs or the minutes get out in a comment, somebody to read it, they might not have any kind of lights.
Right.
So how do y'all go out and market the program so people are aware of it?
So we're marketing via social media right now. We're doing outreaches in other areas of the parish. Every student in a Lafourche Parish school will get a flyer that is going home in their school bags next week. So that should be a big one at this point. You know, just trying to educate our councilmen and our community that these are services are offered and we need to spend this money. So
Thank you.
that's where we're at.
Thank you, Mr. Grill. Mr. Adams?
Oh, Lord.
So I didn't see my district up there. All I seen was Tiboro.
70301. You
I
are
want
Tiboro
Jack B.
70301. You don't have your own
Zalman's
zip code.
Put out there. Because I didn't see the Zalmans up there also either.
This Zalman's is on there.
I did not see it.
Oh, you missed it. You must
Thank
have
you,
looked
Mr.
away.
Adams. Ms. Chasson?
Hi, Amanda, thank you for coming tonight.
Yes, ma'am.
And we had community action. This is our second week. We started last week. We had a few people come in and out. I don't know still that the program needs to be there 4 days out the week and all day long, but they are coming in. They are getting some help. So I just want to thank y'all for being able to come out there and do that.
Thank you for allowing us to come out.
Yes, ma'am. All right, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Chasson. Mr. Jones?
Miss Amanda,
Yes, sir.
there's no doubt in my mind that you have brought community action up to another level. Something I've been looking for a long time. The money is finally getting out to the community with the people that really needs it. If every program has double the money you're giving out, how much money do we have left in CSBG?
In CSBG, we have $171,000 of CARES Act money, which we are trying to get a summer program in Mr. Araby's district for at youth risk. So we are working on that right now. In regular CSBG, we have about $170,000. In LaHeap, like I said, we're about $890,000 left that we have to spend by June 30th.
Okay. In LaHeap, we're planning on doing some utility bliss. Is that just including lighting, or we can do heating with that too?
They can have multiple, so it was misconstrued in the past that they were only allowed one allocation per 6 months, and that is not correct. You're allowed a heating, a cooling, and an American Rescue Plan. So a lot of people coming in were able to zero balance their bill. So even if their bill is $900, we can pay out that $900 through the American Rescue's Plan. And then we can get them a credit to their heating and their cooling.
And the CARES Act crisis, can we move that money to regular CSBG money and use it up also?
We cannot move CARES Act money to we cannot move CSBG CARES to regular CSBG, no.
So what's the deadline for the CARES Act?
September 30th.
September 30th?
Yes.
Okay, and that CARES Act consists of the COVID and all that stuff, right?
Correct, and I asked for a definition of what they meant by COVID, and they said every family that comes in that has children is defined as being affected by COVID, because all children were affected by COVID. So that does give us a lot of leeway to use that money. And like I said, we're working on that at-risk youth program for the summer.
Can we use that CARES Act in some unexpected death or something like that?
Yes, sir, we sure can. We can use it for funeral expenses, for COVID funeral expenses, or unexpected deaths. So a car wreck, just any unexpected. We do assist with funeral expenses up to $3,000.
All right, good. Keep the good work up.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Mr. Adams.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you. You said you went to Bayou Buff?
Yes, sir, I
And
did.
you are going back, you said, correct?
We are going back to do a LAHEAP outreach for
Okay.
electricity.
Do you know when?
The board is meeting on Monday, so I spoke to Betsy Martin, and as soon as they approve it, we'll be out there.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Thank you, Ms. Matisse.
Good.
Item number 32, Department of Public Works representative to present a report. Welcome, Mr. Barone.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Starting off with the Tiboro Field Office area, Louisa Street swept outfall. Ridgefield Plantation Road dug outfall. Ridgefield Plantation Road installed culvert. Layton Road repaired road. Silverado Drainage Canal removed beaver dam. West Community Drive swept drainage ditch. Devil Swamp Road removed trees. Leday Drive removed trees from outfall. Moving to Choctaw Field Office, Banana North Levee outfall, clean levee canal. DeRoche Levee reinstalled culvert with floodgate. This culvert actually popped out during the large rain event. Mr. Jones and Ms. Adams saw it. They were out there. We finally got around to doing this. The Corps makes us keep this culvert operational through a levee. It's considered a leaky levee system. So I know some of you may ask why we have a culvert through a levee, and that's the reason why. Sugar Ridge number 2 pump station reinstalled pump number 2 after some repairs were made. Bayou Bluefield office, Chisholm Trail, swept roadside ditches. Jewel Street, repaired pothole. Lower Pointe-au-Chien levee, removed debris from levee. This is just in preparation of grass cutting season. Moving to Raceland Field office, Lake Drive drainage ditch, swept drainage ditch. Acadia Drive outfall, removed trees. Alley drainage ditch, swept ditch. Ricotta Lane, swept roadside ditches. Lockport Field Office, Delta Drive, swept roadside ditches. East 25th Street, remove obstruction from culvert. As you can see, a garbage can was crushed and stuck in a culvert. Emile Drive, swept roadside ditches. LeBlanc Drive, repaired road base failure. Moving to Galliana Field Office, this is East 37th Street, swept roadside ditches. East 65th Street, repaired road. East 67th Street, installed driveway culvert. West 16th Street, outfall, swept outfall. East 90th Street, repaired large pothole. Golden Meadow boat launch, installed barricades and signs. Providence Avenue drainage improvements. This is a continued sweeping of the outfall. We're almost to the end of the subdivision at this point. We're going to cut across the field and go to the rear of West 53rd at this point. This is some work that was completed by our maintenance contractor. Central Lafourche Drive is 100% complete. We did a walkthrough of it 2 weeks ago. Everything looks really good. And I think all the residents are happy. I haven't heard any complaints. Some more work done by our maintenance contractor. This is the Tiboro Health Unit. We had some curbing replaced, parking block adjustments, and concrete repairs to the parking lot, especially in some drainage areas. And lastly, the D'Arcangelo outfall, the maintenance contractor was back out there today, cleaning up some of the work they had done on the other side of the outfall. And then this is something that's new. After the last council meeting, I felt it necessary to show some love to our DPW office. Those guys get overlooked, and if you've ever been in our DPW office, we have currently 7 people, including me, and those guys and gals work their butts off every day. This just shows some of the work that we've done, and I'll read it to you real quick. So far, in the month of January, we've had 3 hold harmless agreements and 1 permanent servitude agreement, 2 major subdivision reviews, that's drainage, roads, everything, and 5 redivision reviews, 28 culvert permits and 4 fence permits issued, 21 online work requests received and pushed out, 4 compliance cases open, compiling of data sheets for a new online work order system. I know we talked about that for probably the last year. It's finally come to fruition. Robbie's helping us a great deal, and Aaron Frymore in our office is really pushing us to see it through. That's going to be something we hope to push out in March or April, at least internally. We have a lot of people in our office assisting HGA with our Hurricane Ida damage assessments, and that's to all facilities, pump stations, buildings, recreation facilities, everything. Our guys are doing really good helping out with that situation. Also, I know you hear on all of our engineering projects, but just to give you an idea what we oversee, in DPW, we currently have 11 projects that are currently in design phase, 10 projects currently under construction, and 1 project that is very near completion. And that is the end of my report, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Dylan. Mr. Adams.
Mr. Baroni, so at first I want to tell you thank you. Y'all guys do a great job. You do a great job yourself. I just have a couple questions I want some updates on, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
So I know I talked to you about the blue reflectors a couple weeks, maybe a week or 2 ago. I know you said one of them was 307, so that might be a little hard to do because it's a state highway.
Yes, sir.
So did you ever get a response back on that state highway one?
I did not get a response back on the state highway. I can check on that.
Okay.
But as far as the ones on the Choctaw Road, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to push it through our current priority rule list project as an amendment to that. The engineer's not quite finished the plans, so I'll have him add that in the plan, so when they bid the project, they can account for that. And it's a small change, so I don't think it'll affect the cost very much.
Okay. Second one, the trees, where 182 and 90 meet.
So
I know you had called.
Yeah, we tried calling you in the office the other day. I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna follow up on that tomorrow.
Okay, yeah. So like I say, it's just it'd be nice to get it out the way. That's where a lot of accidents happen, and I'm sure, especially when you come back on 182 from 90, you can't see at that stop sign. So I would like to see if you can take care of that.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Melvin.
Yeah, thank y'all. I was a little lonesome on for District 4 on the slides, but just in case, I'm curious. I know we discussed it before. I like to keep my people updated. Do you know when maybe y'all can have the slides and just send them on an email or somehow for our districts? I don't necessarily have to see Mr. Lorraine's or Mr. Wendell's, but is there any way y'all can just send them to us?
So I
That way
think the
we can
last-
post it? Reason that I'm asking is because not everybody's gonna watch the meetings, not everybody's gonna read the agenda, and et cetera, et cetera. It just helps me to update them.
So the last 2 meetings, we've been taking this exact slideshow and putting it in a movie where they pass it 4-second clips and sharing it to Facebook.
Perfect.
So
On
that
y'all,
was,
so on y'all site.
yeah, well, on the Facebook, same place that the meeting's held. So that was done for November and December.
Okay, great.
And then January should be on there already.
Okay,
right,
good.
Robbie?
So I can
this
just
one
share that on mine.
should be there.
Perfect,
And I
perfect.
say January, it's actually called February.
That's fine.
Is the work completed
I
in
was just seeing,
January.
because again, I was out the first meeting. I got off the
Understood.
loop, but thank you, I
Yes, sir.
appreciate that. Also, and I might, this is a question maybe Archie can answer later, but maybe you know the answer. On Acadia Woods with the St. Louis Canal cleaning and that cooperative endeavor between the city, the parish, and Terrebonne, any daylight on that, on trying to?
So it's Acadia Woods outfall is on my list. So I talked to Tommy Boudreaux, who's probably gonna do the work. He's the maintenance contractor for us in Terrebonne. His 2 marsh buggies are in somewhere down one of the Terrebonne bayous. He told me this morning that he's thinking about another month that they'll be there, and then he's gonna move in to take care of the Acadia Woods section between Devil Swamp Road and the Indian development. So it'll take care of that big hump around the railroad tracks that we've always talked about, and then sweep out everything in between.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it.
There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Grove.
I started telling you when I walked up. I had Aaron talk to him today, sent you some texts, and talked to Mr. Gary. I'll call Miss Pat tomorrow. We have these sins of the past, I call them, these neighborhood developments from years ago, where a swell is behind somebody's house. That's not a cemented swell like you see like in Ryanzi and Tiboro, they'll have some. It's only human nature to look at water in your backyard and you just fill it in, and then you're moving it somewhere else, or put a culvert, or, God forbid, put the fence over the, without a permit, over the servitude. We don't maintain these servitudes, but we get the calls all the time, and we don't really have jurisdiction over them. But people are calling us, and they don't like when I tell them you just need to sue your neighbor. It's a civil matter, you know. So if they flood, it is our problem, you know, in a lot of ways. I mean, how do you start proving something like that, that it's not the ditch in the front? If you got a neighbor, if you're on Waverly and it's supposed to drain to the front ditch on Waverly Road, and behind them the subdivision has got swells that are all filled in, and they have a HOA, but these people don't belong to them, and this happens from back ditches, side ditches, people dig pools and they throw it in their low spots. How do we get ahead of that?
So the big reason this stems is on these smaller subdivisions, they put this ditch in the middle and nobody wants to give us the required maintenance servitude to maintain these things. So we do allow them to go through private drainage servitude, which has been there historically. I mean, they've done that for years. The answer is civil litigation. That's it. They can go out and talk to their neighbor and have a conversation with them, show them there's a servitude. The servitude's recorded on the plat. I mean, it's evident that there's a servitude there and they cannot block upstream drainage. They can't. Best way for them is to put them on notice, you know, hire an attorney if that's possible. In the interim, I'm unsure as to what we can do. You know, we do our best to make sure fences aren't on these right-of-ways. We can't police them all. We had one of the council members called us 2 weeks ago about a fence that was going up, and we jumped on it right away. Those are the kind of things we need to know. It helps us out, but as a policing mechanism, I'm not sure, Mike. I don't know what we could do. I know it's not the answer you want to hear, but in these private drainage servitudes, we just don't have any jurisdiction. There's nothing we can do to help them. And look, in a private drainage servitude, the amount of water that is to flow through that small swale ditch is not anything that's tremendous, right? It's just keeping their yard wet. I seriously doubt their house will flood from that swale ditch. You know, if that was the case, we would not allow them to do that without giving us proper ability to maintain it. The front ditch is what carries the majority of water. That's just taking some overland flow. And a lot of times when you see this stuff, you have two lots back to back. 40% of this lot's draining to that swale and 40% of this lot's draining to that swale. It's just where their house is that's going to the swale, and then the swale's going to a larger collector ditch. That collector ditch is what we're really worried about, because if the water can't get out of that, then the swale's never going to drain. So, I mean, are you having any reports of people filling in swales and it's flooding the house, or is it just wet yards?
It's close. It's always close. You know, I mean, and look, I get the pictures and I go look, and I agree. It's just nothing we can do about it. Part two, I guess my second item is somebody else we don't have jurisdiction over, but I've complained over here a bunch. Tessie. I mean, dude, I copied Archie on something today.
I saw that, yeah.
We didn't have a lot of rain, and people can't flush their toilets, so sewage backs up in their house. They are livid. And you call Commissioner Green's office. I mean, is that all we could do? Is just go to the Public Service Commission? I mean, I don't.
So, and that's what I noted in that email back to that constituent today was as an HOA, and I know a lot of people don't even pay attention to those things when they buy a lot, right? A lot of people, I mean, Bo and I were at the Country Club HOA meeting last week. A lot of people don't pay attention to that when they buy a lot in their act of cash sale. But the best thing to do is look at, do you have an HOA? Can you form that HOA now that the X percentage of lots have been sold, and have the HOA vote to make a change and kick Tessie out of there? Because these guys are developing these neighborhoods, and they're turning that system over because they don't want to have to deal with it. And then you end up in situations like we have.
Yeah, and I mean, look, our water, you know, rainwater impedes in their system, you know, and gets in the manhole covers, and in their mind, they think they pumping our storm water, and that's the problem. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it might be some of that, but I mean, it's just coincidental that from here to the door, 4 or 5 houses every time, you know, something's wrong with those 4 or 5.
And look, I am going to take that email too, Mike, and send it up to DEQ, because I know the kind of junk that they would send us at the city of Tiboro when we had manholes overflow or back up into people's houses. Sorry, Miss Carly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send that to Bijan with DEQ and DHH tomorrow and see if there's something from a regulatory perspective they could do to it, because these guys got to have discharge permits, and there's got to be limits on them to be able to run that system. So we'll see what they tell us too.
Yeah, I mean, if you need an address, let me know. Give me a phone number, because I'd love for them to be able, you know, be able to forward some calls to some people with DHH or somebody can. I mean, not DHH, Public Service Commission that could really listen to their gripes. They get somebody on it quick.
And Mike, back to your first issue. I mean, a way to move forward, and this is in the long term, right? Not in the short term fix, but We really need to look at our subdivision regulations and drainage. I mean, that's something we've talked about since we've been here. I mean, between COVID and the hurricanes, we really haven't had any funding or time to actually push this stuff through. Once we get a master drainage plan update or our new master drainage plan and start to study these subdivision regulations and look at some of the surrounding parishes and what they do and what they have implemented, I think that's a good way to police it moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Grove. Mr. Jones?
Yes, two quick questions, Mr. Lafourche. A couple months ago, we was on Tarbert next to Euclid and Diplomat Way, the ditch.
Yes, sir.
That resident that live right there, they got a drainage ditch on the side. Did we ever find out who owned that right of way, or do we have a right of way there?
I did look into it, and I don't think we found a right-of-way on that one, but let me look back into it and see where we are. I think there was no right-of-way there, or if there was a right-of-way, it was only for the ditch and no maintenance for it. Let me look back into it, and I'll get you an answer.
Okay. And the second question, on Waverly Road, do we have some kind of gate on Waverly Road to drain water into the cane field? A resident texted me the weekend on that.
Not that I'm aware of. There may be something that was placed by Bentley Drive, but not that I'm aware of. I can look into that as well.
Okay.
There's no working gate. I mean, if it was,
No.
if there's anything, if somebody blocked the drainage, but no working gate, no, sir.
All right. Okay.
That we
thank you.
operate.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Ms. Chasson?
Yes, I wanted to thank Dylan for getting on something real quick for us last week. On Thursday, we had a lot of heavy rain, especially down the bayou, and all those heavy trucks passing on the 308 onto the, on the north side of the Intercoastal and the south side of the Intercoastal Bridge. Large potholes had developed overnight, and he got on with DOTD, and by 3:30, 4 o'clock that afternoon, they had started filling the potholes, and today, like I've gone on a few times. So today, they even went back and did some more work on it. So, I mean, we still need a whole resurfacing of that roadway, but at least the potholes are filled. I want to thank you for helping us with that.
Yeah, no problem. Look, we always make the call. Sometimes we get some traction with DOTD and sometimes we don't. But they were very responsive on that day, so that was good.
Thank you, Ms. Chasson. Thank you, Mr. Barone.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Item M, questions for the administration. Anyone have any questions for the administration that wasn't covered under the DPW section? Mr. Otan?
Yeah, Archie, I just was wondering if y'all have, and I don't play on Facebook, so I didn't know if y'all started to pursue a campaign on on making some of these contractors with the shingles knowledgeable of what they can and can't do in terms of bank stabilization. There's rumors of pastures being dug and allowing, charging for contractors to go dump their shingles. And of course, the incident with burning piles of shingles. But, at what point when we see 30, 40 piles of shingles in a single person's yard, what actions can we take, if any?
Yeah, so I stopped and took some pictures. The guy was actually cleaning up the bond side when we stopped and took them. Robbie is working on that campaign. I'm actually going to start another one ahead of hurricane season. I took a picture of a basketball and a culvert today when we were meeting with a resident in central Foosh. So we are going to start to plug that stuff out. We gave the award to Gracie, and I think they left, but her dad, Sergeant Nick Pepper, is actually the one handling most of the illegal dumping cases. I got a picture, I think it was from Cutoff, of a company, and you could clearly, as they see the sign on the side of the truck and on the back of his shirt, where he was illegally dumping, I think on 3235, and he had done it before. So he's looking into that. So I think there's one Jim and I talked about in Bayou Blue up along 182, right before you get to 316, where this guy turned his yard into a dump. Those sorts of things we turn over to DEQ because they have the debris site enforcement roles. We try to pursue it as much as we can through our Nuisance and Abatement program, but look, if DEQ can come in with their enforcement, it happens a whole lot quicker than us having to go through our process. So that's kind of been the trend lately that we've been using.
Yeah, I only say it because this particular individual, thought he could use shingles as bulkhead material, which, by the way, I did advise, being with the Freshwater District, that they probably need to start beefing up patrols basically from Lockport further south because they've been focused racing north, and I think they're fixing to start doing that for different issues. And he also claimed he didn't know he couldn't burn construction debris. He said, well, it's just wood. And so I explained to him about natural vegetation only, et cetera. And so I just like a campaign on making some of these people, and look, he may not have been telling me the truth, I don't know, but he basically claimed ignorance on a lot of different levels, and so I just want to see us publicize and make them knowledgeable, all these contractors, to stop this humbug in the parish.
Thank you, Mr. Otam. Mr. Adams.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chasson, I would like an update on Tibo's Funaporium Park in Jagbay.
So we're still working with the property owner, working through the court process to figure out how to make that succession work. So there's probably 28 different heirs to the property. We're gonna have to buy a piece of the property from the heir who's willing to sell, and then basically force the court to open up a succession and let us buy the rest. So we're working on getting a hearing date with the court.
Timeline, maybe? I mean, I retire in 20 years. Just asking.
Yeah, let's shoot with maybe the fall.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Melvin.
Yes, sir. Real quick, Archie, I know that last week on Facebook, you posted something when the flood, news hit of flood rates and everything, and I know not everybody's on Facebook, not everybody watches the meeting, but this affects a lot of people in our parish, unfortunately. And I want you to just briefly say a few things about it, but correct me if I'm wrong. The feds and these bureaucrats do not recognize our levee systems, is that correct?
So I don't know if I could do this briefly, but so back in 2008, we started suing the feds over the flood maps. That equated to, in 2014, the parish being put in with 5 other parishes in the LAMP program, which was basically to force FEMA to accreditate our levees and put them on the flood maps. So that happened. We got a new set of flood maps in July. We met with the levee districts as well as Abatement, who we have used for years to kind of fight the flood mapping process. Sent in a whole bunch of comments. I actually followed up with Darla last week because I was trying to figure out where they were because we've heard 0 from them, and I didn't know if it was because of the hurricane or what, but they said they would have their comments back to us in the next couple of weeks, so that's going to be a whole nother fight. So they did, the federal government takes into account the levee systems. The problem with risk rating 2.0 is that doesn't even matter anymore. It's all about where you live. So the example I like to use, and I told this to Administrator Criswell when she was in Houma with us, meeting with Gordy and I after the storm, was that, you have a guy who owns a $2.5 million condo in Miami Beach. He pays about $25,000 a year in flood insurance. Under risk rating 2.0, his flood insurance will now be capped at $12,000. That's the most you're going to be have to pay in the NFIP program. But the guy who lives in Cutoff inside the levee system, who just took a Cat 5 to the tail and didn't have any issues, right? His new elevations on those new flood maps are actually in a negative. It's absurd. But his flood insurance is going to go from $1,000 a year to about $7,000 a year. How does that? We're not truly looking at risk if we're doing that, because the guy in Miami is going to get hit 5 times as hard as the guy in Cutoff, but his insurance is going to be far less in this new program. Back in December, let me back up. In October, we had a huge roundtable. The levee districts were there, the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, the realtors, the homeowners, the bankers, and Congressman Scalise. We've tried to starve it off with FEMA. They didn't get a whole lot of traction. Senator Cassidy has a bill to delay it, hasn't got a whole lot of traction. In December, Congressman Scalise tried to schedule a meeting with FEMA, bringing some of the locals up there. FEMA denied having a meeting, wouldn't even show up to a meeting. We're trying to push through this weekend as the National Association of Counties annual conference in DC. We're doing it virtually. We chose not to go because of all the post-Ida stuff, but we have some resolutions and some legislative stuff that we're going to push through from a national level, because this isn't just a Louisiana issue, guys. This is the guys who flood in Colorado. This is the guys who flooded in Manhattan because of Ida. So you can't tell me you're going to take Trump Towers in Manhattan to make his flood insurance go up because he flooded in Ida, right? It's just absurd. So it is something, if your policy renewed before April 1st, or is renewing now, you're going to be safe for another year. But the prime example I give to everybody is me. Everybody knows where I live. I live in Lockport, right? Not in the flood zone, 10.5 feet above sea level. House has been there since the 70s, never made a claim. My insurance is going from $572 a year to $4,600.
So
crazy.
I'd just like to add to that, and then we can move on. I'm done, but real quick, it's just a perfect example of the grossly bloated bureaucracy that we have in this country of unelected people. Now, granted, we need help in government, but it's gotten so bad with all of these, I don't care if it's education, ATF, tobacco, firearms, what have you, FEMA, Homeland Security. I mean, how many more bureaucracies we need of unelected people? And then once they're in government, you're stuck. for the most part, they have to almost do something, God knows, to lose that job. But here we are, and we're going to be charged all these exorbitant fees down here. And again, it's unjust, and I don't think it's how the founders meant it to be. Thank you.
And look, Bo, this isn't a law. This isn't an executive order. This is something somebody in FEMA dreamed up one day and said, let's go do it. Never had a congressional hearing, never had any type of authority. So it's a little screwy.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. President, any final words?
Just a reminder, Dylan sent me a note to remind you guys about the email about priority road list. People, please don't reply. We know you want to repave Choctaw Road. We got that. I know we've talked to a couple of them, Councilman Araby, Councilman Melvin, Councilman Otain, kind of just some initial priorities, working with the field office to make sure everybody was on the same page. You guys, I started sending them out last week, and I'll continue to send them out. HGA is going to send them to us weekly now, just an update where they are from their perspective on putting our FEMA projects in the PW process. We have a couple more weeks to go on the damage assessment side before we have to get that stuff completely put into the FEMA portal. And then my hope is that once we get some type of project obligated, whether it's the $44 million in pump stations, whether it's going to be the several $1 million in rec, we're going to go back to Jim Ryan and Harold Block, knowing what those numbers are, and we're going to go bond out another amount of money. Because what's going to have to happen is we're going to have to cash flow that stuff before FEMA's going to reimburse us. But what I want to do before I just come back and have you guys look at me like I'm a complete idiot saying, hey, I need $75 million, I want to show you guys that FEMA's obligated the project, and we're going to have a way to repay that without tapping into the parish coffer. So once that happens, we'll come back to that. I'm thinking we'll go through that process sometime early summer. So by that point, the engineers will have finished their designs, and we will actually go to construction on the building revamps, the pump station rehabs, and all the ancillary stuff. That's it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Moving on to item N, adjournment. On a motion by Ms. Chasson, second by Mr. Adams, that with no further business, the Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting of February 8th, 2020 be adjourned. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Who's the nay?
Somebody said nay?
Who's the nay?
Motion passes. Any nays? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 1 nay, at
The one day being Mr. Oten.
1 nay be Mr. Oten at 6:50 p.m.